A few hours ago, a few minutes ago actually, in Albuquerque, New Mexico, anti-Donald Trump protesters getting in what Jonathan Hunt termed running street clashes with the Albuquerque Police Department, and after many hours of taking incoming rocks, bottles, other things, some pepper spray came out. According to Jonathan Hunt, no injuries or no major injuries that he knew of, and also no arrests that he knew of. Great work not only by Jonathan Hunt, by Eric Barnes, his cameraman, Melissa Chris, his producer out there in some pretty tough conditions there in Albuquerque, Melissa Chris, his producer, working not only the phones but the email and also bringing us that video. Little perspective now on the video, the protests, and Donald Trump's reaction to that. Dr. Waleed Phares, a Donald Trump advisor in the foreign policy world, joins us now. Dr. Phares, appreciate it. You look at Albuquerque today, it looked a little bit like some of the protests we see at times in the Middle East.
It does. But we can make a distinction, Leland, between two groups. One is made of individuals who are protesting because of their opposition to the political agenda of the candidate, and they're clear that they want to have their ideas be seen by the general public and by the media. And then you have the other group that you have been talking about, the one that took the control of the news, and that the urban protesters, the violent protesters, whose real engagement and clash is not with the candidate, is with the police, with the law enforcement. And that's a tactic that we've seen in several cities. It's an organized movement, but it merges with the general protesters movement as well.
I want to understand here from the sense of how you all are looking at this, and we'll zoom out from just Albuquerque to sort of a strategic view of these protests. We've seen them before in Chicago, in Salt Lake City, and other cities. One thing that is striking is many of these protesters are carrying Mexican flags. And a lot of observers have said, well, if anything, that probably helps the Trump cause more than it helps the protesters' cause. You agree with that?
I agree. I think it's a strategic mistake on behalf of those who've organized these protests with the flag of another country, with all respect to all countries, because this is going to only mobilize those people in the silent majority who would feel that this is not their flag, this is not the United States, this is outside our debate. Now, of course, this is, they try to link it to the immigration issue, but that's going 1 inch beyond the limit that is to have a flag of other countries being involved in our politics.
All right. Well, we're there. Now I'm going to move a little bit into more of your wheelhouse of expertise when it comes to foreign policy. A lot of criticism from the very beginning of Donald Trump that he just doesn't have any foreign policy experience, aside from perhaps hosting Miss Universe in Russia, as he pointed out. Over the past couple of weeks, he's really tried to back up his foreign policy credentials, if you will, build them up, met with Senator Bob Corker of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, Henry Kissinger, those kind of folks. You have a PhD in these matters. Is this something that somebody can learn in a couple of weeks of studying and then a couple of months on the campaign trail?
It's not that simple, Leland. Basically, Mr. Trump is coming from the business world, international business world, so he had some experience in dealing with public service people and leaders around the world from the business perspective. Look, compare him to Senator Obama before he was senator, before he gets into politics, or to Secretary Clinton before she entered the White House. This is the real comparison. And ask them the tough questions on policy. They had to go through a process. But the question would basically seems to me, what did they do with this experience? Let's suppose they got the degrees, they were in the White House, they were in the State Department. And then what happened in Libya, what happened in Iraq, what happened in Iran? This is where Mr. Trump has an advantage, is that he did not make a mistake or mistakes in foreign policy. And he's now engaging. You're right. He's engaging now with senators, members of Congress, very many experts that we are seeing and that he's seeing.
All right. Dr. Waleed Phares, a Donald Trump advisor, appreciate your insights both on this and on the protests we saw earlier. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Leland.